Hi there, Aaron from Tend, where our mission is to take the mystery out of improving your team chemistry. Once you received your PDF report with the results of the Predictive Index behavioral assessment, now you're wondering how to read it. So on page 1, you'll see 3 distinct patterns. The one at the top is labeled self, and that's the one we want to focus on today for this video. You'll notice 4 unique points have been plotted on the graph, which corresponds to 4 behavioral drives measured by the Predictive Index. Everyone has some amount of each drive, and the position of these points gives insights into how you're likely to communicate and engage in the workplace. Start at the top with A. This is the dominance drive, defined as the drive to exert one's influence on people or events. Reading horizontally, if your A fell to the left of the midpoint, you have a lower dominance drive, summarized by the word collaborative. If your A fell to the right of the midpoint, you have a higher dominance drive, summarized by the word independent. If your A fell on the midpoint, that means your dominance drive is situational. So for you, you'll be less or more driven to influence other people depending on the situation you're in. Let's take a look at the other 3 drives. Next is the extroversion drive, which is the drive for social interaction with other people, labeled with a B. Again, if your extroversion fell to the left of the midpoint, it means you have a lower drive for social interaction with other people, summarized here by the word reserved. If you're on the right of the midpoint, you have a higher drive for social interaction and you're more sociable. I want to point out that being high or low for any particular drive is not good or bad. The goal is building self-awareness without judgment, because the truth is we need team members with all different drives for good team chemistry. The next drive is labeled C and is the patience drive, defined as the drive for consistency and stability. This is all about your preferred pace for accomplishing work. If you're on the left side of the midpoint, you prefer a more driving pace and are more comfortable with change, whereas if you're to the right side, the high side, you prefer a much steadier pace and want more stability in your work. It's worth noting for this and for all 4 of the drives, the further you are from the midpoint, the more prominently the behavior will be expressed. So if you look at the last drive, labeled with a D, the formality drive, this is defined as the drive to conform to rules and structure. Think about this drive in terms of detail orientation. How detail oriented are you? Everyone to the left of the midpoint could be described as flexible. However, someone in the first sigma low would be moderately flexible, someone in the second sigma low would be very flexible, and someone in the third sigma low would be extremely flexible. The same is true if your formality drive is high. First sigma high would be moderately precise, second sigma high would be very precise, and finally the third sigma high would be extremely precise. So we've only scratched the surface of these 4 behavioral drives, but now you have a really good idea of your natural behavioral style in the workplace. Be sure to check out our other videos for examples of how these drives typically show up and tips on how best to use them, but give yourself a pat on the back. Building self-awareness as a leader is the first step in improving your team chemistry.